start recording. Yeah, Rinit, I started recording. Okay. So I missed the initial piece, but I will get that through. Okay. So if you can see, the important, as I mentioned, as I was discussing, you cannot have spaces. Okay. Program files, all these will have spaces. So the best part, what I do is I just create a folder called programs, and within these programs, I have installed Java and Python. And let us go back. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, Java and Python is direct installable, and .NET Framework 4.0 and Visual C++ 2010 is required only on 2008 R2. As I mentioned, two operating systems. You can install this on two operating systems. If you are installing this on 2008 R2, in that case, you need to download Visual Studio 2010, redistributable package, and then .NET Framework. If you are installing it on Windows 2012, you don't need to have a separate installation for this Visual Studio and .NET Framework. These are pre-installed. It comes with 2012 R2, so you don't have to. This is easier, so you can skip these two. But yes, you need to install Python. You need to install Java. So I have in fact skipped those two pieces. It's very simple to install Java and Python. So I have just gone ahead and installed Java and Python, and as I have mentioned, it's on C programs. So I have made the same installation on all the servers. Let me this is my third machine. I will So if you can see in all the machines, I have program files, Java and Python, and the second one, Java and Python. So on all the three machines, one name node, two data nodes, it's all the same. Okay, I will tell you when installing what changes are actually required. Fine. Now, let us go to the next piece. Apart from installation, these are some of the things that you need to take care. Disable IPv6 on all the machines. Okay, how do you disable? Go to your network adapter properties, and you can see Internet Protocol version 6.0. This has been taken off. Okay, so at this point of time, your HTTP only supports IPv4. So it will not be able to recognize any of the nodes if you are on IPv6. So the same thing applies for all the other three machines as well. This is the first step that I do. As soon as my machine is on, I just go ahead and disable IPv6. Okay, I'll just quickly check. Okay. Okay. So I disable all this, and I have created program folders on all the machines, installed Python, installed Java. Okay, and this is another important thing. The last setting that is required is I go to now. I have made a host entry. Okay, so primarily we are going to use these three machines: name node, data node 2. I have also got a host entry made here. Now, this was required with Hortonworks 2.0 and earlier, but I still have a habit. Sometimes I'm not sure if there is a regression, so I just make sure that I have these host entries for all the machines that I'm going to connect through. Now, the question would be like, you have one node, name node, and one data node, and you don't have the second and the third. You are planning to add this sometimes later. So not to worry. Whenever you are planning to add those two additional machines, go ahead and make an entry into your host. Now, even this applies on all the machines. Okay, I have made the same change on all three machines. Okay, I will here. You can see the same entries have been copied to all the other three machines as well. The next piece is environmental. Okay, these are the now that we have installed Java and we have Python, how does our application know where these are set? Okay, so these are two important environmental variables that you need to set. First is your Java home. Okay, so Java home is pointing to your C Java JDK folder. Fine. And the second piece is your path to Python. So you will find the system variable existing on your machine. All you have to do is append your Python path to this path system variable. Okay, all you have to do is just add this, and then it's separated by semicolon. I have a habit of adding it at the front. You can also copy it and then take it to the end and put a semicolon and add it there. Okay, preferably it's easy for me to see, okay, it's there or not. So I add it to the very beginning of this line. So yeah, Java home and then path. These are the two things. Okay. So I will upload this checklist as we are progressing. If it's successful, if it's failure, if something happens, I will just maintain this same document and we can take it further. And I will upload the same document also onto our Facebook page. Okay. Now that we have most of the prerequisites set up, let us go ahead and shoot the command. Okay. And the command is very simple. It is msiexec/I and any of those MSI file. Okay. So it's now, where do I have this? As I mentioned, I had installed Java and then your HTTP 2.1. It's available on your Hortonworks website. Okay, I'll quickly show that. Products, downloads. Okay, you have for Windows and it clearly says download the MSI. You click on this download and you will find this HTTP 2.1.1 GA available. Okay, so I have, it's almost 1.15 GB. I have already got it downloaded on my virtual machines here. Okay, it's the same package. Okay, and I have unzipped here. Now the installation is very simple. I have this command here. We are making use of Microsoft installer to execute this Windows package. Okay, now very good, it's the path. Okay, let me change the path. Okay, so yep. Now all you have to understand is this window here. Okay, prior to 2.0 you never had this UI to configure any of the host or any configuration here. So we were using this cluster properties. Earlier you were using this cluster properties to set the log file data directory, and you would go ahead and enter all this. Where is the name node, where the secondary name node, all the information will be populated into this, and you are passing this cluster properties.txt as a parameter to your Hadoop package. This was done earlier, but with 2.0 and above, you have this UI which is available for you. Okay, I will just quickly, I will not revisit into depths of this Knox or any of this. This is only a raw installation, because why am I keeping it that simple is I have struggled enough just to install this HTTP initially. Okay, so what we'll do is we will have a first simple installation available with you, and then maybe in the next session, as we go and dig more into individual technologies, we will try to explore more and we'll show you how you can install. In this session, all we will be bothered about is how do you install HTTP, set up your Hive and Uzi, okay, and your Zookeeper host. These are the very basics that we will look into in this session. Okay, and also we will have a multi-node cluster setup here. Okay, now the first thing that these three things, it is where your Hadoop gets installed. Within this folder, you will have your Hadoop, Uzi, Hive, or any of those. All the entire stack will get installed within this HTTP folder here, and then all the logs related to installation and all other logs will get into your Hadoop logs folder. And the next piece is, so I just make sure that it is all under the same parent. So I rename this, I will have the path under Hadoop/HTTP data, and all your data gets into this C Hadoop HTTP data. Okay, now this is a new setup, so I will leave this delete existing one as it is, and password one will be our password. We are going to configure multi-node here. Okay, now where should the name node? Now before just clicking and setting up, you should have a sort of a plan. Okay, you should have a sort of a plan where how, now that we are going to install one name node and two data nodes, how are we going to set up and things like that. So the first node that you're going to set up is your name node. Okay, the first thing that you're going to set up is your name node. So let me go back. All I will do is copy the FQDN, if I domain name, and go to my machine. Yes, this is where I want the name node to be. And where should the secondary name node should be? The secondary name node, I want it to be on HTTP data node 1. Okay, so as the name says, I have named it as HTTP name node 1, and the secondary name node is data node 1. So I'm planning is we'll have the secondary name node and the data node on the same machine. Okay, or else you can have a separate secondary name node as well. I have another setup as and when this is installing, and when we have a pause, I will go to the other node and I will show you how exactly that has been set up. Okay, now so here I have the name node as NN1, and then I have the secondary name node host as DN1, and the resource manager. This is all new to Hadoop 2. Okay, as and when we will be covering yarn in, I think, in after 2 sessions or so. So at this point of time, we will just have everything populated as your name node 1. Okay, now the time is for your slaves. How many slaves that we need to have, or how many data nodes that we are going to have. As we had planned, we will have 2 data nodes. Okay, HTTP DN1 and HTTP DN2. These are the 2 data nodes. Okay, come on. So I will have 2 data nodes. Okay, HTTP DN1 and 2. Now I'm not going to check this install additional component again. HTTP name node 1 forest. Okay, and hive. So you can store your hive you can have your hive metastore configured on your SQL as well as in a Derby. Okay, at this point of time, I will save it on a Derby, which will be a local database residing on the name node. If you can see, it populated on its own. Okay, and then yeah, the client host. This will be the client host. So now you will be wondering, what did I populate so much? In fact, there is nothing much. If you can see the bottom one, HiveDB and UziDB is very simple. So your Hive metastore, we are pointing to, all we are specifying here is that Hive will store its metadata in Derby, and the database name is Hive, and then the username is Hive, and the password is, I just mentioned it as Hive. The same thing with Uzi. All the Uzi data will get into UziDB, and then the username and password. So this section is clearly covered right now. Now And how about this zookeeper? Where will the zookeeper get installed? All we are saying, go ahead and install this on name node. If you can see, everything goes on the name node other than the secondary name node and the slave. Okay, and the slave is nothing but data nodes. At this point of time, all it does is it makes an entry into the file. It doesn't directly go ahead and contact the other machines. Let us go ahead and I'll just go ahead and click on install. Let me double check. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and install. You will see it'll try to validate the host in some time. Okay, okay, it is trying to validate the host. It doesn't check if the service is running on the machine on the other machines or not. All it makes sure it is able to reach that all those other machines, DN1, DN2, if it is able to reach. Okay, okay, we are still waiting. This will take few minutes. Okay, it went through. It was able to communicate to the other two machines. Okay, all it did was it pinged, and then it proceeded with the installation. Now let us leave this as it is. If it fails, we'll come back and see why it fails, or if it's successful, then that absolutely that's fine. Let us move on and do the same thing on other two machines here. Okay, cool. It got locked. Yes. So quick check. Okay. What am I checking? Yes, I have already made sure all these are, but I just want you guys to get habituated. So first thing I'm doing is making sure IPv6 is disabled. Okay, and go back to my okay. Do I have I don't have the path set here. Okay, let me see which machine I'm accessing. The path has not been set here. That's nice. Let us go ahead and quickly set that up. Copy, edit. Okay, cancel. The next one that we need is Java Home. Programs, Java, JDK. Copy. It's done. So we have those two set, and our host is here. And let us also confirm our IP address. This is 191, data node 1. Okay, now let us go there. msixec/i http. Okay, let us click OK here. Let us go back to the other guy. If he's complaining, no. I just need the IP addresses, so I'll just copy this onto the second machine. Okay, nice. Okay, set. it complained. And we'll go to the third one. Java home is set, and then the path is also set. Okay, cancel. Okay, now let us go ahead and run the same command here. For some reason it has not copied successfully. I'll delete this guy and extract. Now let us revisit the first one. It's still going on. Let us go to the second one. It was complaining, so instead of clicking OK, we'll just look into the path. Okay, good. This guy came up. Okay, I'm just looking at the second one right now. This is our first data node. Okay, and what are we going to do with the data node is repeat the same setting on this as well. Okay, Hadoop multi-node. Okay, I'll password word wow. Then we need the name node details here. The name node is so if you can see, you are also saying that the Hive server, the Whoosy server, resource manager, webcat, webhcat, all of them will be on your name node. Okay, you can absolutely go ahead and separate these to any server that you want to, and just mention which server will this get hosted. Okay, comma data node 2. Okay, so this is fine. Let us and Hive. So this got populated. If you remember, if you see, it's the same thing that we did on the first machine. We are typing the same thing on this other machine as well. Okay, no changes at all. All we are saying is this guy is going to be the second machine. Okay, this machine is going to be your data node. And if you can see, I'll just go and I just want to show the host name anyway. So it's HTTP data node 1. So I'm installing it on data node 1, but I specify yes, there is another guy also who's going to be who will have a data node service, which is data node 2. Okay, rest all is same. I will also take a alt print screen and let us say install. Okay, and Any problem here? Okay, nice. So let us paste this as well. Okay, this guy is still going on. This guy is validating the other nodes. Let us move on to the third one. Okay, did this guy? Yes, he's extracted whatever that we need. Okay, let us go to the installation folder. Si exec/i stp, and let's go. Okay, all I will do is again just copy this. We don't need the entire IP address and things like that. It's always better not to. Okay, this guy came up very quickly. Multi-node. The name node here, resource, this slave, data node 2. Now secondary name node is the same guy. I think I made a mistake with this guy on the previous scan. Let it fail. We can try to fix it. Okay. So I had mentioned that the name node data node 1 will also act as a secondary name node. Okay, but on the previous screen I guess I did not change this, but let it go on. Name node 1, hive. Let's see. So we are all set. Name node, data node 1, data node 2. The secondary name node will be on data node 1, and then yes, all are fine. Let us hit install. Okay. Okay, this will take some time. Okay. Now in the meanwhile, let me show how I had set up earlier. Okay. Okay. On this machine, okay, after all the services get installed, if you go back to your services.msc, you will find quite many services named as Apache Hadoop started. Okay. Some of the things that you need to keep in mind is the name node needs to be started. Okay, for your Hive and Oozie to be working, you also need this meta store and then Hive server to be starting. The Hive will store all the metadata into your Derby server. So make sure even these get started. Hive server makes use of Derby server, so these two need to get started, and the meta store interacts with Derby server. So these three, apart from this, the name node, I have installed the name node on this machine, Oozie as well on the same machine, Resource Manager, which is new to your Hadoop 2.0, and Templeton, which we are already aware. So all of them have been installed on this one machine here. This is our on the previous. Just I thought that there will be some gaps, and I would cover up with these things. So this is our name node here. And if you can see the name node, whenever you install your Hortonworks Data Platform, it installs these shortcuts here. Okay, fine. Okay, so it could be that the other nodes have not been started. Okay, give me a minute here. So do not get confused. I'm just switching between an already set up cluster and the recently one. It is just that it takes some time for these clusters to come up. Okay, and if you can see now, right now I'm clicking on these three machines are the latest one that we are installing right now, and this fourth one is an already installed cluster. Okay, and if you can see the nodes, the other data nodes have not been started. Okay, it has not been started, so you don't see the nodes here. Okay, let me go back and start the, let me try starting those name nodes. Okay, so on the name node you will find quite many services, but let us look into the data node, how many services need to be up and running. Okay, anybody want to take how many services should be available on the data node if you have already worked on it? Okay, I'll take it as not sure. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, are there any questions until now? I'll just take up questions while it's installing, maybe a couple of them. It's almost about to end, but until now, you have any clarifications that you want to get it clarified? Good. Okay. This is an already installed cluster. Okay, and let us check out how many services. If you see on the name node, okay, we were when we went to the name nodes of the cluster, it said 0 nodes. It was unable to find any nodes. It was because the services had stopped. Okay, on a data node, you will have only two services. First thing is data node, and then the node manager. Okay, let me start these two services and refresh on the name node. Let me go back to my name node. It takes some time to update, okay, but ultimately you will see in some time, you will see it keeps pinging for those nodes, and it populates here stating that okay, I found one or any number of nodes that has been attached, or it has been specified to this name node here. Okay, Okay, and apart from this, there is another file. If you are adding, if you say you have already installed 2 data nodes, and if you need to add more nodes to your cluster, in that case, all you have to do is you can go to your Hadoop and look for slave. Okay, you will find a slave file. Let me look into Hadoop bin. So if you need to add any data node after you have created a cluster, all you do is follow the same steps, same cluster properties that you had created for your main name node and other data nodes. Okay, and apart from this, apart from just using those settings, you need to come back and add this entry to your slaves file. Okay, so it so happens when you use the UI and go ahead with the installation, it makes the first entry or any number of slaves that you have mentioned, it goes and makes an entry into the slave file. But once the cluster has been created, if you go back and install, it will not know on the name node. You're not installing this on the name node. Right? On the name node, it will not be able to communicate back to the name node stating that there is an additional node which has been added. Rather, you need to come back and open this slaves file and add this manually. Okay. So in fact, even I did the same thing. I went ahead and created the first data node and then came back, used the same settings to create the second data node and came back to the slaves and added this. Okay. If time permits, we can also try that. But as you can see, this is taking quite a long time. Mhm. So this is almost finishing. Many a times when I am installing, I go back to the Hadoop folder. We take back to that folder for some reason. Okay, we have this Hadoop install files. Guess that guy is taking all these resources. I will try on this. Okay, nice. Okay, so for some reason on this machine it's failing. Let us go back and understand where exactly it is failing. Whenever you get this error, right? Let us go back and just see. Okay, it says install file. See, install file. Let us go to that guy, and you will not find that many a times. Okay, if you can see in this case, you will not find this. So you need to be really, if you don't, many a times you will end up with situation like this. You will not know what happens, but you need to go back and every now and then keep checking. I will show in this case here. Let it come back. So whenever the installation is happening, go back to this setup tools. Okay. In one of these folders, you will have a log file. Okay, you have this installation log file. As and when, okay, it just keeps moving. Make a copy of this file here. Okay, this is where all your errors and things like that get logged. Apart from this, if you go to your Hadoop folder and within Hadoop you have logs. Okay, sorry, within. Okay, even you can also just keep monitoring. As and when it installs, you will see new packages getting into this Hadoop HTTP. Okay, two things. First thing is as and when it is installing, go back to your C drive and you will see Hadoop install and go to your setup tools and keep a track of this install file. You can just copy and keep a backup of this as and when it goes up. Okay, let us try again on the second machine. Let us look into the third machine, what is happening here, and then go back to the second machine. Okay, this we'll try installing on this machine now. Okay, we had copied and unzipped this, so let me quickly. Just copy this. So name node. These are two data nodes. Just confirm. Yep, HTTP2. Okay, this guy is still doing some work. So many times if it fails, it installs all the way and it rolls back all the installation. Okay, so let us go back to this Hadoop, and so I guess here it's going fine. Let us wait for some time. Okay, it's also going through on this machine. Let us wait for some more time. Okay, now I'll quickly run through this. So this is the already installed one. So as I mentioned, the entry goes into the slaves, and then you will see these services. Let us go back and check at least now. So if you can see, it says this name node is connected to HTTP data node 0.dn02, okay, which is nothing but the other machine where we started. Okay, so it's the same thing that you need to install on all the machines. You don't have to make any change, but wherever on this machine, right, it will just install only those services that are required. When I say those services which are required on this, if you see the cluster setup, okay, I have mentioned data node HTTP NN name node 1. So on the name node, it will install only all the services that have been mentioned here, and the same will we are going to copy onto the name node data node 1 as well, right? In that case, it will install only the data node services on that machine, and all the rest it will try to communicate on the machines that we have mentioned here. Okay, but even on the data nodes, it installs the entire package. Even on the data nodes, it installs all the packages. Okay, it's not that it will only pick up and install data nodes or any of the specific services. Absolutely not. It installs all the service, all the package, and all the machines. It is just that to communicate to those specific services like name node or the Whoosy service or the Hive, it picks up the host name that we have mentioned and tries to communicate to that machine. Okay, so it is still going on, but here, so I think this guy is going on successfully. Okay, and this guy is still installing. This is the second data node and the third data node. Okay, even this guy is going. It's taking some more time. So at this point of time, are there any doubts or anything that you want to clarify? Because this is all it needs to. This is all you need to do to install Hadoop on your Hortonworks Data Platform on your Windows platform. I will open for questions while it is still installing. Okay. Please let me know we need install. Yeah, you need Arun. Yes, you need Windows 2008 as well or 2012 R2 to be installed. For your Hortonworks Data Platform to be installed, you need either of these two. You can install on Windows 2008 R2 or 2012 R2 machines. We'll just, that's nice. So one of them was successfully installed. Let us look at the services that got installed. Okay, none of the services are started. Okay, now how do we start the service? Is you have PowerShell scripts as well as your command files. Okay, all you can just say is start local HTTP service, right click on this and then run as administrator. Okay, okay, it's starting up. You might not need all the services. Okay, that's fine. Let us, while it's starting up, let us go to the other machine. This guy is still installing. And the third machine, even this is going fine. Okay, now if we go back to the services, all these services have started. If you can see, you will not find data node installed on this machine because we have set up a different machine altogether for the data node which will get installed on DN1. Let us go back here. Okay, this will take more than 3 to 5 minutes. So, and on that machine you will just see data node as I had already shown here. You will find data node and data node manager installed on those two data nodes, that is nothing but your 2 and 3 machine. Okay, so we'll just wait for 1 or more minutes. So it also created the shortcuts here. Let us Third one, it's still doing it. So once the other two machines are up, when you go back to your name node, even on the other two machines, you need to just start services using start local HTTP services, and you will be able to see the data nodes up and running on the other two machines as well. Okay. It's good. It's saying 45 seconds. We'll just wait for 2 more minutes if we are able to see the installation successfully done. For some reason, I guess it's rolling back. Let us show you how you can troubleshoot as well. Let us go back and then copy that installation file. And as you can see, it takes quite much resource. So it takes a long time to install. Okay, let me go back. Right now we are just waiting for this node, data node 2 and 3 to come up. Okay. Okay, in fact, I guess on this machine it is rolling back for some reason. Let us go ahead and copy the setup file. Okay, this is on 2. Okay, so on this machine I'll go to this Hadoop install files. It should come up. It's taking some time. I'll copy this. Yeah. Let us quickly check if there is any failures or why it failed on the first attempts, or if it is still having an issue. Okay. So if you can see, the initial setup is like whether what components need to be installed. Okay, should I install HBase? It says no Flume, no Knox, no. So it just says, it picks up what components that needs to be installed and what is not required. Okay, and then it also makes a note on which machines the services will be running and what services would be running. Okay, and if you can see the passwords and things like that, it is clearly visible here, and it's just goes ahead and installs. Now you need to also compare with how the installation is also mentioned in the document. Okay, it very clearly says that you need to specify the entire what you need to install. MSI execc/I. So it is clearly mentioned in your in the document that what components you need to install and what don't need to install, you need to mention that in your MSI exe. But that becomes a very lengthy command. Rather than that, you can just take the shortcut as I mentioned. You can just specify the services that will be running in the command window. Okay, let us go to the last one. It is going fine, but let us revisit the second one here. Okay, and let us search for anything like error or fail. Okay, it says failed processing is 0 file. That is fine. Okay, if you see failure secondary name node, I had entered a wrong secondary name node ID. Okay, to go back and revisit, if you can see the secondary name node, okay, I had mentioned earlier, I had given it as NN1. Okay, I had mentioned this as NN1, which was a wrong secondary name node. So it tried to find that, identify that secondary name node, and it failed. Okay, so you have to re-enter that. So if you come across any issues in that case, you have to go to your C Hadoop setup files and then pick up. So on the first attempt it failed because it couldn't find the secondary name node. Okay, so now that it is up and running, let us go to our yarn status and understand on what machines we have data nodes and name node and things like that. Okay, let us go to the third one. It is still taking some time. Now let us open our services.msc. This is on the data node. Okay, data node 1. Let us see if the services, if you can see the service have, there are 3 different services, and the secondary name node has been set up on this machine because I had specified. Now let me go to my C Hadoop HTTP start local services, and as administrator let the services start. Okay, it's taking some time. For some reason only this, I'm running all these on a VMM. Okay, maybe we are running short of the horsepower. That is the reason. Okay, send all start commands. Okay, it's yet to come up. It's really slow. Let it come up. We'll just go to the third one. Let us check out the status of this guy. Okay, it's still going on. So we'll not bother much about this. Let us, if the second one comes up, we will conclude there. Okay. So it is still starting up, I guess. Okay, it's come up. It's running. Now let us go back to our first machine. Okay, and then check the name node. If it is, it will take some time for it to. I shouldn't have. Okay. So it's coming Let us give it some time. So this guy, the name node will communicate with the data node and he will populate. Oh, I should have. Let me go ahead and, okay. So it is yet to populate the name nodes here, okay? As I mentioned, it will take few minutes. After that, once it pings, it keeps coming. There's a heartbeat with which the name node communicates with the data node, and in some time it'll populate the data nodes that have been configured. Okay, that's very good. That was quick, and it very clearly said that now this is our name node. Okay, from our name node, once we started the data node, it was able to communicate to the name node, stating that there is one data node which is up and running. As soon as we started the service, it came up here. So the third one also will come up in a similar fashion. Okay. So I will just quickly summarize and end this session as such. Okay. First I disabled IPv6, created program folders, installed Python, Java, and then also made changes to the host file. And what did I make the changes? I just introduced what is IP address and the DSN names in the host files. And apart from that, I set two environmental variables, one for Python, one for Java. Next, I went ahead with the installation, msixe/I, and then pass the installer. Okay. So when I was installing, I made sure I introduced what are the data nodes and what are the name nodes, and also the secondary name node. Rest all, if you can see, all the services I started running on name node 1, other than the slaves and the secondary name node. These were the only few things I changed. Apart from this, everything, all the services, I made sure that it is running on name node 1. Okay, and the slaves were named as DN1 and DN2. I configured those two slaves in here, and I use the same setting on the other machine, on all other machine itself, on other machines also. So all it does is it installs depending on the machine that you are installing and the setting that is available on the second machine. It started only the data node and the name node, and it started communicating with the name node that we had specified in the cluster properties. We had specified here that the name node is HTTP NN1, and this data node DN1 was able to communicate to the name node 1 to and then understand what are the services and things like that. Okay, so that way we are able to have one name node, one data node, and the third one will take some more time to get installed. Okay, so I guess you had enough information how to install, and I will also upload this screenshot onto our page, and okay, and also the video, the recording will also be available. So let me stop the recording and I will take questions. I will wait for the questions for a few minutes. Okay.